Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Today is day 11 in the 28-day challenge, Intentional Parenting for Busy Moms. I'm so excited to get to see you today. And let me know if you're watching this on replay. Let me know where you're watching this from. And today is day 11. Like I said, we are going to talk about rewiring our brains. Now, what does rewiring your brain have to do with being an intentional mom? And I'm gonna dive into that. But I want to tell you that last week we talked about defining our dreams. What are our dreams for being a mom? What kind of mom do we want to be? What are our dreams for our kids? This week we're talking about breaking bad habits and establishing new good habits that serve us. And specifically, we addressed the habit of yelling. And we talked about building the good new habit of practicing mindfulness. And I want to go a little, and also another one was yesterday we talked about practicing self care, which can be tricky, but it is possible, it is doable, and it is beneficial for all of us as moms. We should all be doing it. And mindfulness can be a form of self care. But today I want to talk about how this works and why we do it and why it's hard at first. Because when we are building a new habit and when we're breaking an old habit or if we are building a new habit, there's a lot that goes on up here. There's a lot that goes on in our brains, and we're going to encounter a lot of resistance. So that's why when you're trying to stop yelling or when you're trying to regularly build self-care in and it feels hard, you need to give yourself a lot of grace and just pick yourself up when you mess up and go right back and try it again the next time you have an opportunity to do so. Because if you give up, you're not going to get anywhere. If you say, oh, well, this is just how I am, I'm never going to change, that is a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset, and you're never going to get to your goal if you give up. The only way you're going to get to your goal is just by not giving up. It might take you longer than it takes someone else. And believe me, it took me a long time to get to my goal of being a more calm, responsive, instead of reactive parent. And I'm still working on it. I'm always working on my parenting goals and being the mom that I want to be. And I think this is a conversation that we need to have a lot more of, is just what are we doing? We all have those dreams. What are we doing to get to those dreams? What are we doing to become that person that we so desperately desire to be for ourselves and for our kids? But I think that, on a neurological level, this is hard because you are literally when you're building a new habit or breaking an old habit, you are blazing new trails through your brain. You are creating new neurological pathways and you will find resistance. It's just like if you were to go outside in a thickly wooded area with a machete and you were creating a trail through that wooded area with your machete. It is going to take a long time. It is going to be dirty. It is going to be messy. It is going to be frustrating because there's a lot of work to do. But when you go walking through that trail the second time, it's not going to be quite as difficult to get through that trail. And the more you walk through it, the more clear that trail is, the easier that trail is to get through. And the more, and you're creating, and it's the same thing in your mind when you're building a new habit or when you're breaking an old habit, you're creating a new neural pathway. And it's going to be hard at first. You are going to encounter a lot of resistance, but the more you practice it, the more you commit yourself to practicing it, no matter how badly or how many times you mess up, the more normal it feels. Okay? And it will eventually become just part of who you are, and it will be effortless. Okay? But you've got to put in the work and the commitment before, in the beginning, and just along the journey to build that habit. And then and that's how you stop yelling at your kids. That's how you become more mindful. That's how you practice self-care, is by doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and giving yourself grace every single time you mess up and loving yourself every single time you mess up. And I know this is so much easier said than done. Believe me, I know I have walked that path. I am on that path. But it's so worth it because you're creating a whole new atmosphere in your home. We are like thermostats. We set the temperature in our homes. We are the ones leading our families, and you are creating a new atmosphere and a new intention in your home. You are setting such a good example for your kids when you yell at them, but then you apologize and you look inside yourself and you become more mindful, and you do this intentionally, and this is going to serve you in becoming a more intentional mom. So that wraps up this week in our challenge, and we're gonna have some posts on the weekend in my Facebook group. If you're not a member of my Facebook group, it is Survival Mode to Successful Moms Moving Beyond Trauma. And I'm excited to see you all there, and I will see you next week when we do our next video. And next week, just a heads up, we're going to talk about beating busy. We're going to talk about how we can overcome the feeling of being so busy that we don't have time to be intentional. If that's you, tune in next week. I will see you soon. Bye.